Monday night, April 25th, the Thompson Bowling Arena, WWE's Monday Night Raw is going to be live here in Knoxville. And my man Kevin Owens is one of the stars of the show. Kevin, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good. I'm actually preparing for Monday Night Raw now, but I'm looking forward to being in Knoxville for it in a few weeks here.
You're going from the main event of WrestleMania to WWE here in Knoxville. So let's talk about WrestleMania, man. What was it like for you to main event your first WrestleMania and Stone Cold's first match officially in 19 years, man? That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a very surreal experience, to say the least. I mean, it's funny because if you ask a lot of people what their dream as a professional wrestler, as a WWE superstar is, they'll say main event WrestleMania, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never said that because I actually kind of always figured that's such a select group of people that get to do that. I never thought I'd get to be one of them. So I never really, not that I doubted my ability to do so, but I just never thought it would come, that just wouldn't be something I get to do. So I never really dreamed about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how unfathomable this was in the first place. And then to top it all off, to do it with Stone Cold Steve Austin, that was really unimaginable, something that nobody would have ever guessed could happen. And that's what happened last Saturday. And I still can't believe it, honestly. It was very surreal to be a part of it. And definitely something I'll look back on forever. I really can't see how I top this in the next few years here as my career keeps going. But I'm going to try. It's just hard to imagine topping that.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine if you would have told, young Kevin Owens that in the future you're going to main event WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin while you're watching Monday Night Raw, you're probably thinking that's the last thing that could ever happen, like the furthest thing from your mind, kind of like you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very hard to put into words.
What was your reaction when you find out, hey, not only are you going to be working with Stone Cold at WrestleMania, but it's going to main event one of the nights of WrestleMania? When you hear those words come out of whoever's mouth it was that said it to you the first time, what was your reaction?
Yeah, I wasn't told about the main event part for really until, the week of.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I thought maybe there's a good chance it will change. Who knows,
Mm-hmm.
But that day, as the day was getting closer, it became clear that that's what was going to happen. So that's obviously it just added a whole other level of excitement to the entire experience that was already so surreal to begin with. And I mean, in my case here, I feel very lucky to have been a part of it. Obviously, it was Stone Cold's main event. He was the main event.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the right place at the right time, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's still something that I'll remember forever, to get to be in the main event of WrestleMania with Stone Cold. It's really, like I said, I already said it. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's really how I feel. It's very hard to imagine topping that and getting any higher than that.
And when you get ready for a big match like that, right? Like, what do you listen to music? Do you just kind of hype yourself up? What do you do to get in the zone when it's time for you to deliver in these big moments?
For me, it's really just about finding time to get my thoughts in order and kind of being on my own, which is I ended up doing a lot that week.
Mm-hmm.
We were very busy. WrestleMania week is always extremely busy as far as interviews and stuff like that go. But the night before the show, I found myself having some time. It was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and I found myself having some time to myself. I didn't want to just stay in my hotel room. It just felt like I didn't want to be cramped in a relatively small. I just felt like I needed to get out, but I didn't want to be with people. So I actually ended up finding my way. There was a spot in the hotel with a wrestling ring
mm-hmm.
built in there. So I found myself in that conference room, just sitting in the ring, just kind of take it in with everything that happened, everything that led me to that moment. And it was nice. I was by myself at 2 a.m. in literally the place where I feel the most at home, which is that ring,
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of got into that place. And then from that point on until the next day when the bell rang to signify that the match was over, all my energy, all my thoughts kind of went into making this as good and special as possible. And, I think we really delivered on that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So now, you main event night 1 of WrestleMania, night 2 of WrestleMania. You've already, as you said, kind of released all that energy. What are you doing on night 2 as the next night of the show is happening? Are you in the building? Are you watching it from somewhere else? Or?
Oh, absolutely. No, there was no way I would miss it. I have so many of my friends performing on WrestleMania night 2, and I'm still a fan,
mm-hmm.
still as big a fan as you can get. And there's no chance I was going to miss WrestleMania night 2. And so I ended up watching it from a suite, from a box up in the luxury boxes they have there at AT&T Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
couple of other people with Seth Rollins and Becky and Trish Stratus and Lita. We all ended up in that suite, and so we just enjoyed the show, all of us, as we would, as any fan would, and it was really great to see people shine on that stage. See my friends like Sami Zayn was unbelievable in his role against Johnny Knoxville in the match. Mm-hmm. They had a match that I don't think anybody could. If that wasn't the most entertaining match on the whole WrestleMania weekend, I don't know what else would qualify.
Yeah,
really great stuff. And then seeing the women's tag team match and everybody doing great in there. I had friends in that match, and I had Edge, kind of being this new version of himself at WrestleMania. It was just really great to see everybody perform and get to watch it, without the stress of knowing that I have to perform as well soon or anything like that. That was just a real treat. Pat McAfee obviously blew everybody out of the water. I knew what to expect out of him because I've seen his matches on NXT. The guy's an incredible athlete, incredible performer. So, but it was kind of cool to see, out of the 80,000 people that were in that building that night for his match, I can't fathom a guess on how many had actually seen the NXT matches. Mm-hmm. I'd say 90% of the people there probably hadn't seen them, so they really didn't know what to expect. And when Pat started doing his thing, everybody was blown away. It was really cool to see that stadium come to life because of what he was doing. Yeah. It was just a great experience to watch it from afar.
It was just cool to see, like you said, just how everyone was just ready for him to do everything that he did. Like they went crazy for. They kept, doing the 7 Nation Army thing, which was really dope as well.
He's got something you can't really teach. He's got a real natural bond with the audience. He's a real likable guy, and that's genuine. And being genuine in our industry is so important. So it's funny that he's coming from outside the industry, but obviously he's been a fan for his whole life. I mean, I'm personally excited to see him do more in the ring if the opportunity comes forward, because I think he's done great every single time.
And speaking of, like the celebrity involvement, last year you were involved with Logan Paul with the match against Sami Zayn, and then this year he had his own match, and a lot of people came away really impressed with him as well. What did you think about his performance on night one?
It's interesting because Logan Paul last year came in with a. People are. I don't think anybody can deny that he wasn't really amongst the WWE audience, the core fan. He wasn't somebody that people were exactly excited to see around WWE. Mm-hmm. You could tell by the crowd reaction to him. However, he took that and started using it to his advantage, and he understood. I don't know that he was a fan before he started getting involved with WWE, but he understands what this industry is about. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's anybody they could have put in that spot as a tag team partner that was better for that than The Miz. Because he and The Miz are a very similar kind of annoying, very similar kind of aggravating, a very similar kind of obnoxious. So they work great together, and anybody with a decent pair of eyeballs can see that Logan put in the work, be ready for his match. And he went in there with Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, who spent his life watching his dad perform and training under his dad. So those two are at the top of their game. One of them being Rey Mysterio, who's
legend.
Probably, I don't know. I don't think anybody could deny that he's, if not the best, he's definitely amongst the top 3 greatest wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. So he went in there with Logan Paul went in there with those guys, and he hung with them. Mm-hmm. So obviously he did the work, and that's what matters. When these celebrities and these outsiders, if you'll allow me the term, come into what we do, it's great to see, their level of excitement when they are excited to be here, and it's great to see them commit and do the work.
Yeah.
So, and you can tell when that happens, and you can see Logan Paul obviously did that.
And speaking of, big things that happened at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes comes back. I read a quote where he said that you were the person that it was the hardest for him not to confirm that he was coming back to. So talk to me a little bit about that relationship and how you feel about having Cody come back after being gone for 6 years.
Yeah, well, so Cody and I got very close in WWE very quickly when I first came here. When I got to NXT, Dusty kind of took me under his wing. Mm-hmm. And then when I transitioned into the main roster, my natural, me and Cody were just kind of naturally gravitating to each other because his dad had talked to him about me. Mm-hmm. And obviously I knew, I saw a lot of his dad in him. And then Dusty passed, and that was really hard, but I got to, in a way, Dusty lives through Cody. So to me, getting to be as close as I was with Cody was just, great. And when he left WWE, that was actually really hard for me because I really, really, it was like losing a brother. Not losing him. We kept in touch, but I knew that from that point on, we really wouldn't see each other much, and we didn't. We saw each other maybe once or twice between when he left in 2016 and when he came back just now. But, when he left, he wanted to go make a name for himself outside of WWE because he felt like WWE at the time, he wasn't getting the opportunities he felt he should be getting. And, I tried to help him with that. When he went out on the independent scene, and I put him in touch with some of my friends to make sure that he'd be taken care of and he'd had some guidance over there. And he did great for himself. And then to see him come back at WrestleMania this way, with the fanfare he got and the excitement of the people to have him back, he really did it. He really went out and did exactly what he wanted to do. And that's so admirable. I'm so proud of him for it. It's great to have him back. And the thing is, I knew he was coming back this whole time. He never confirmed it, but I just knew it. And he was just trying to play by the rules and not tell me. So we'd talk. And then, I ended up asking him, so when are you getting to Dallas? And then he would just send me a picture of his daughter, which is what he would do, which is what he does when he tries to avoid answering questions. So, that was probably his way of just, obviously, I knew he knew I knew. I knew he, I know that he knew that I knew, but it was just, that's what he felt comfortable with. And that's fine. I respect that. Just glad to happy to have him here,
That's awesome. So, so short term, April 25th, Thompson Bowling Arena, you're going to be here, WWE Monday Night Raw. We're very excited about that. So we're going to run through, right? You've been, you first come up to the main roster. You beat John Cena, one of your first matches up there. You've been the Universal Champion. You've now main evented WrestleMania with Stone Cold in his first match in 19 years. What else is there left for Kevin Owens to do in WWE?
That's a good question. It's funny because, and I say it tongue in cheek because I don't mean it as a negative thing. I really don't. But then when I walked out of the match with Steve on Saturday night, I think I did an interview the next day maybe, and they asked me what's next. And I just said, well, it's all downhill from here. But I don't mean that. I don't mean that as a negative. I just mean that moment was so momentous that it's very, like I said earlier, it's very hard to figure out what's going to top it. So there's plenty of things for me left to accomplish. I haven't been WWE champion, and I'd love to have that notch to my belt. I have never been a tag team champion. I'd love to do that. There's a couple people here that I'd love to be tag team champions with. People I'm close with, like obviously Sami Zayn or Seth Rollins or Finn Balor. There's just there's also, he and I were talking about this recently, that I've never had any kind of real long-term kind of story with Randy Orton. We've never had a match on a big scale. It's always been on Raw. And it's really hard to believe because I've been here for 7 years, but we've never really had any kind of, a real story with each other. I'd love to get to do that. And I'd love to wrestle Rey Mysterio in a singles match. And Edge, I got to wrestle Edge in Madison Square Garden in December, but it was a live event, so that wasn't on TV. I'd love to get the chance to have a TV match with him. So there's a few things, and just now, Tommaso Ciampa, good friend of mine, looks like he's coming to Raw. So that's another thing. There's plenty of things left to accomplish, just moments I'd like to live, experiences I'd like to have in the ring. And, I've got a few more years here at least, if not more, depending on how the future shapes up. And I have a few more years for sure to get that done. So I guess that's where I'm going to try to direct my energy toward at this point.
That's awesome. KO, I appreciate you giving me a couple minutes of your time today. We're looking forward to seeing you at Thompson Bowling Arena on May 25th, my man. Thank you so much for your time.